OMG! I can't believe what I managed to film this week. So this video was supposed to be a regular holidays video of what I gave to all my pet ant colonies of the ant room for Christmas. But it turned out to be something much more raw and so utterly fascinating that I just had to completely make this week's video about this very event. My massive pet fire ant colony, you guys have named the Fire Nation, is undoubtedly my most ravenous, meat-hungry, prolific, and admittedly, for some reason, the channel favorite. So this year, I had to give them a gift they'd love. Something that would beat the hamster I gave them 2 years ago, and the cockroach Christmas tree I gave them last year. And so AC family, this week, what they received for Christmas was something they'd never before had. And what they ended up doing to it will leave your jaw on the floor, just as it did mine. You'll see exactly what I mean at the end of this video. Brace yourselves, everyone, as we enter the fiery Selva de Fuego, the epic paludarium kingdom of the Fire Nation fire ants, here on the Ants Canada Ant Channel. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Enjoy. Welcome everyone to the Selva de Fuego, the Amazon River paradise, and home to a number of interdependent creatures, including fish, snails, and shrimp. But this thriving, living, and bioactive river and waterfall are merely an installation to benefit the real rulers of this entire rainforest plot of territory known as the Selva de Fuego. The Fire Nation, a governing colony of red tropical fire ants whose species is known to biologists as Solenopsis geminata. They skate masterfully on the surface of the water, like it's solid glass, a true display of proficiency around the river which runs right through their lands, providing the colony water and humidity. It always amazes me watching them traveling to and from places on top of the water's surface, setting up islands and resting stations on the giant floating water plants living in their river. But the Fire Nation's clever use of aquatic plants and active life around a large body of water is but one of many impressive and mind-blowing features that make these fire ants such satisfying creatures to own and observe. I feel the biggest thing that has ultimately led the Fire Nation to become the most popular ant kingdom on this channel is their ferocity and appetite for meat. Fire ants, which hail from the tropical jungles of South America, happen to be top predators in the ecosystems they are part of, as well as very important scavengers. They devour insects, other invertebrates, even small reptiles and amphibians, the unlucky rodent, and bird. Any person who's had the misfortune of being stung by these ants can testify that they are definitely ants that mean business. And yes, I know from experience, they can quite easily conquer any unsuspecting, injured, or dead animal and reduce it to bones. And that, guys, is exactly what you're about to see now. Meat? No pun intended. This year's Fire Nation's Christmas gift, a raw chicken head plucked of its feathers, but still with its biological juices intact. I anticipate they'll love this and tear it up to bits, leaving us with some bones to clean up later. Alright, AC family, are you ready for this? Let's get to it. 1, 2, 3. Placing the chicken head into the Selva de Fuego. The fire ants immediately climb up the stick to inspect the fresh meat they surely could smell from below. Now, of course, you would think that a ravenous, meat-hungry fire ant colony would immediately rush in and completely swarm this delicious chicken morsel, tearing it to shreds. Especially the Fire Nation, right? But hold on a minute. What the ants actually ended up doing completely surprised me and was quite peculiar. Have a look. For some odd reason, most of the ants just stationed themselves along the stick and didn't actually come near the chicken head. Only a few ants were seen feeding from the chicken's meaty juices. Why? Can you believe our Fire Nation right now? There is a massive chunk of chicken meat at their disposal, and all they seem to want to do is, well, hang out below on the stick. The Fire Nation has eaten cooked chicken before, but this was the first time they'd ever had raw chicken. How out of character for the Fire Nation to not be just devouring this chicken head immediately upon discovery, right guys? Had this been my hand, they'd have been all over it. Looking at the surrounding vicinity, it did seem like message of the chicken had begun to spread throughout the colony, as the Fire Nation seemed to be moving about with that very familiar sense of urgency I see every time I place some food into the Selva de Fuego. Ants had begun to travel from far corners of the kingdom to come and check out what all the buzz was about. Ants were even traveling from their watery stations to come check out the chicken hype. But if they were clearly showing interest in our chicken head, why would they not be swarming the chicken head yet? It didn't make any sense. In fact, their apprehensiveness was now forfeiting this chicken head to the vultures of the Antiverse, i.e., these miniature flies, which are perfect nurseries for their maggots to thrive off of. This chicken head could be perfect for a swarm of maggots to devour and completely steal from the Fire Nation. I could see a few scouts eventually inspecting the chicken's comb and beak. But why wasn't this chicken head just covered in fire ants by now? Were the ants wary of this foreign chicken head for some reason? Well, AC family, the answer to that will surprise you and was going to come to us in a little bit. Meanwhile, while waiting for them to make their next move on our chicken head, let's take a closer look at the Fire Nation workers. Though we featured the Fire Nation in many videos before, it's been a while since we've actually taken a close look at the impressiveness of the individual workers themselves, which in my opinion are easily overlooked. You may or may not know, fire ant workers, like these members of the Fire Nation here, are known to be what is called polymorphic, which means that there are various sizes of workers, from small miners to massive super majors with big heads. Though each worker caste shares similar jobs, some worker castes may be better at specific tasks than others. For instance, the super majors, like this one you see here, may be better at cutting food items open with their massive jaws and jaw muscles. The smaller fire ants, the miners, may be better at handling tiny objects like eggs and micro bits of food. It does seem like these ants may be licking a drop of chicken blood that hit this stick when I placed the chicken in. But if they seem to love the raw chicken blood, what was the problem with the chicken? Something about our chicken head was not right for the Fire Nation. I couldn't imagine the Fire Nation being afraid of a lifeless raw chicken head. I was beginning to wonder if the Fire Nation was actually having cold feet. Little did I know, that was exactly what it was. Literally. Because 20 minutes later, this is what I saw. The Fire Nation had finally decided that the time was right for them to move in. All right, the deconstruction of the chicken head had begun. Ants were swarming in through the bottom, as well as chewing in from the skin of the face. Flies also seemed taking full advantage of the carcass. It finally occurred to me what had taken the fire ants so long to start swarming in. AC family, listen to this. So these tropical fire ants actually have a kryptonite, and that kryptonite is cold. Cold can actually kill them. If the Fire Nation were to ever escape fully into my condo, all I would need to do is turn on the air conditioning, and they would all die. And turns out this chicken head was bought from my local grocery, where it was kept cool in a fridge. So that is why the fire ants took so long to advance in. They were waiting until the chicken meat thawed to a safe temperature for them to be able to start feeding. Clever girls. The flies were also quite interesting to watch through all of this. Now that the fire ants had moved in to claim this chicken head theirs, finding a suitable place to station, feed, and lay some eggs was tricky business. The fire ants defended this valuable chunk of nourishment violently. Check it out. If I were this fly, I wouldn't be standing still in one spot for too long. It's a good thing these flies have impeccable eyesight and lightning speed reflexes. As I watched this fly, which had managed to gorge itself on some of the chicken's bloody fluids, which were actually visible through the fly's semi-transparent body, it made me wonder how the fire ants were going to process this massive chicken head. Were they going to bore holes through the chicken's ears to get to the meaty goodness within? Were they going to outcompete the perusing flies that were clearly wanting to lay their eggs on this raw chicken head? Would the chicken's mouth become a massive entrance into their meat excavation operations? Only time would tell. But all I knew was that this process was going to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen the Fire Nation execute. Five hours later, I checked up on the progress. Have a look. Oh wow! Look at them! They were so busy! The ants were everywhere now, all over the chicken's face skin, feeding from the tissues, entering through the ears, and just pouring in from the bottom of the head. It was clear that the fire ants were loving this chicken head. I couldn't wait to see them tearing it up gradually over time. And boy, were they dedicated. Overnight, the operations continued. Dismantling this chicken head for distribution to the rest of the colony was a round-the-clock job. These ants were relentless, and were not going to rest until the chicken head was completely bare. By now I could see swarms of ants feeding from within the mouth, entering through the nose, entering and exiting through the ears, and teams of ants still pouring in from below. It's no wonder ants are among the most successful organisms on the planet, as their teamwork and tireless determination is truly exceptional in the natural world. They actually have the pressure to break this huge meat source down as fast as possible, because in the wild, they risk losing it to larger hungry animals that might find this chicken head tasty. Fire ants, though notoriously perceived as hated pests by most people, are in fact Mother Nature's specially designed agents for the transitioning of animal matter back into the earth. What I saw the next morning kind of startled me. Peeking into the Selva de Fuego, it was evident that the chicken head had begun to decay and sort of dry up. Of course, the ants were still hard at work, and flies still trying their best to get in and find a safe spot to feed and lay eggs. This sight kind of reminded me of the novel Lord of the Flies, wouldn't you say, guys? But the startling thing about this entire scene was that the chicken's eyes were open. OMG, how creepy. I guess the hydration process, coupled with the interior excavation of the meat, has caused the chicken's eyelids to open. Or another possibility, the ants managed to pry the eyelids open to gain better access within. From the looks of things, no pun intended, the ants were trying to bore their way into the chicken's eye socket. Is it just me, or is this giving anyone else out there the shivers? The ants had seemed to be much more organized now, with specific operational plans as to where to get into the chicken skull, where all the good stuff lay. And little did I know, the process was going to get even cooler as time passed more and more. AC family, if you're a fan of zombies, I can't wait for you guys to see what this chicken head looked like 24 hours later, as well as how the ants needed to alter their food processing technique. These fire ants are indeed masters at what they do. Do you guys understand now why I had to make this its own video? It was all too cool not to. So the next day, I found a peculiar amount of ants drinking from the river. Why? Thirsty much, O Fire Nation? This here is an unusually large number of ants drinking from the river at the same time. And it made me wonder what was making the ants so thirsty. Can you guys guess? Well, turns out the answer lay just above them. Have a look. AC family, presenting Fire Ant Chicken Jerky. The chicken head had dried out and decayed so much now, giving it a sort of zombie-like beef jerky-esque appearance. And trust me, it smelled salty and like beef jerky. Let's observe the flesh. The meat and skin had been eaten away and was now starting to grow strands of fungus on it, forming a sort of carpet fungus. The ants seemed to be breaking up and feeding on remaining bits of meat that were available in the chicken head. But it did seem the ants didn't have very much left to work with. Still, the ants seemed determined to get every little bit of usable meat they could from this chicken skull. Let's look at where they were entering. It seemed the ants now had established entrance into the skull through the mouth, nasal cavities, and a hole towards the top of the skull. The eye had completely sealed off now with fungus carpet. It was surprising to me to note that although flies were still seen droning around, there was no evidence of maggots at all. Seems the Fire Nation had done a great job at fending off the flies from taking their valuable meat. So why were the ants then extra thirsty now? Probably because drier meat meant the colony needed extra water to break down the dried meat fibers within their bellies. At least that was my guess. Over time, the chicken head began to decay more and more, and less ants were seen visiting the chicken head, probably because it became less and less edible. Nearly 1 week later, as of this morning, this is what the chicken head looked like. A chicken skull with nothing more than a bit of hard, rotting flesh bits. In nature, the remaining decaying parts edible to the ants would have been further broken down by soil creatures, fungi, and microbes. But regardless, watching these fire ants reduce this chicken head from this to this was a spectacle I would never forget. What did you guys think of this process? What other things should I try feeding the Fire Nation? I felt this chicken head was the perfect Christmas gift to give the most famous ant colony on this channel, as the nourishment was enough to sustain the entire colony of millions for a good week at least, and perhaps give the queen a surge of valuable protein to produce more eggs than usual, and give the colony a huge population boost, as if they need it. Going into 2019, I was optimistic for the Fire Nation, as well as all the ants of the ant room. Optimistic because you, the AC family, is now bigger and stronger than ever. You guys watching these ant videos and participating in the polls, helping with names and decisions, ultimately affecting their individual fates, has made this ant-keeping journey extra special. Now, speaking of the ant room, I promised to give an extra video this week. So, AC Inner Colony, feel free to watch this hidden video here for a full ant room tour and update on all the ant colonies, creatures, and animals in the Antiverse and beyond, just so we're all caught up for our new wave of epic ant videos in 2019. If you're new to the channel, do take this opportunity to walk with us through all the ant kingdoms of the ant room and meet the creatures we all love. AC family, I wish you all a happy new year 2019. Thank you for watching, and as always, it's ant love forever. Alrighty, C family, and there you have it. Let's celebrate another year of epic ant videos and toast to more adventurous discoveries in 2019. So guys, go and smash that subscribe button and bell icon now so you can join our growing AC family, one of the coolest, smartest, and I must say, kindest communities on YouTube. Do subscribe to keep updated on the workings of the Antiverse, and don't forget to hit that like button every single time, including now. Also, a special announcement. Although it's past the order date at antscanada.com for arrival before Christmas, our awesome holidays promo is still in full effect until the end of the year for all you ant keepers and ant lovers wanting to get into the hobby this year. And boy, have the ant lovers gone ant love crazy so far. So guys, here's the deal. Anyone ordering our new ant towers, which are already on sale, or any of our hybrid nests or hybrid nest gear packs, will also get our newly revised 2019 version of the Ultimate Ant-Keeping Handbook with new and updated ant-keeping info, a huge new section on nuptial flight schedules and distribution info per species, and tons of gorgeous ant photography. Just order an ant tower or hybrid nest gear pack, add the new ebook to your cart, and use the coupon code ANTLOVE2019, and you get the ebook for free. If you've always wanted to start ant keeping, don't miss out on this opportunity and check out our ant keeping gear at antscanada.com. I look forward to you all keeping ants with me. If you're new to the channel and want to catch up on all your Ants Canada lore, feel free to binge watch this complete storyline playlist here, which traces the origins of all the ant colonies of the ant room, so you can follow their stories and better appreciate how these ant kingdoms came to be and why we love them so much. And now it's time for the AC question of the week. Last week we asked, why do we suspect that phoretic mites might be a seasonal thing? Congratulations to Fernanda Silveria, who correctly answered, previous infestations occurred around the same time of the year, when it was colder and dry. Congratulations, Fernanda Silveria, you just won a free ebook handbook from our shop. In this week's AC question of the week, we ask, What does polymorphic mean? Leave your answer in the comment section, and you could also win a free ebook handbook from our shop. Hope you can subscribe to the channel as we upload every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video to help us keep making more. It's Ant Love, forever.